Okay. It's always crazy. There we go.
Hello.
Hi, finally.
I know, finally. How
How
are
are
you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, I would say. How are you?
I'm okay. Kind of I don't know, just an overwhelming. It's a
Yeah,
lot going on. Lot going on social media. Kind of trying to actually
yeah,
I mean, I'm doing these lives, but I'm kind of trying not to um not go on as much.
yeah. I know what
Just
you mean.
just a lot. Do you find social media gives you anxiety?
Oh, yeah. Especially now when we're in such a very tense and sensitive climate. It
Yeah.
is very much, anytime you get on Facebook, anytime you get on Instagram, it's kind of, whew, what are you going to wake up to today? Or what are you going to find out this morning?
Right.
Know, for me, I'm from Georgia, so it's such a way to stay in touch with like friends and family from back home.
Right,
So
right.
now things left and right, and especially now with you can't get home. It's
Yeah.
the best and sometimes the only way to keep in touch with certain people, which
Right.
is
No.
sad.
Well, so had I think someone gave me your can you hear me? Is the signal okay?
Yeah, I hear
Okay.
you.
Someone, I really can't remember off the top of my head, but someone suggested that I talked to you because
Hey,
you had written out a really beautiful blog post, I believe it was,
yeah.
and it was very beautifully written. And so why don't I mean, if you don't mind, just kind of introducing yourself.
So I am Giselle Christina Byrd. I am a Black trans woman living in New York City. I'm originally from Augusta, Georgia, and I work as a talent management assistant here
Oh
in.
wow.
So it's very unique for a Black trans woman to be behind the table in entertainment. So,
Yeah. How is your experience? What do you mean by that?
well, I think right now we're seeing trans people are coming to the forefront, and a lot of Black trans people. We're hearing their stories out loud,
Yeah.
especially since we are such a marginalized group and we're such a target group as
Yeah.
well. Seeing in the news every day, especially recently, about a lot of Black trans murders, and that's been a problem in this country. So for me to not be seen as an actor, I'm not Laverne Cox, I'm not Angelica Ross, but someone who helps build those types of careers. It's I'm literally can somewhat be considered a black sheep. You don't see a lot of women of color in general, or men of color, working behind the table in entertainment.
Hmm.
And that, especially during this entire movement, has been one thing that I've found interesting. And a lot of people have come to the forefront from casting, from, grips on set, saying there isn't anyone that looks like me. I'm the only one. And that's been my experience. And we've always had to prove ourselves, to be worthy to work behind the table or to get in on how we make these big deals happen. And so it's tough. It is a never ending fight because, as a black person of color in a very, Hollywood is very whitewashed. We call Broadway the great white way, to try to break through these barriers and break into these rooms. It is exhausting. It's exhausting. And I've found perseverance is the key. Having a good heart, having a good family or support system, whether it's your friends that you consider your family or even your work family. I'm blessed to have a very understanding and accepting boss who has seen me throughout my entire transition. So I tell people all the time, very much a Cinderella story in terms of the entertainment industry and working in management.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think from my point of view, it almost seems like, I mean, it does make sense that um, transgender people or you don't see as many black people behind the scenes because it's not benefiting a company as much. They don't look as,
Exactly.
you know, woke or, you know, like they're fully supporting equality and whatever the case may be because, you know, they're not in front of you're not in front of the camera. So it's almost like,
So we can talk about we support diversity in this. So we're going to put all of these actors of color on this television screen, but
yeah,
then you get their executive offices and there's not one person of color making a decision
right,
about people.
right. I mean, it's incredible that I mean, I'm happy that you're in the position that you're in then, you know?
I am too, girl.
Yeah. So what has this time kind of been like for you? Has it been, are you happy that there's an increased awareness? Do you feel, I mean, I'm sure yes, but do you feel like, um, this is an awful kind of question, but like, do you feel like your life is in danger when you step outside, like because you don't know what you're gonna face?
Absolutely. Um, I said it in the blog post. Living as a trans person, but more so as a black trans person, every time you walk out of your house in the morning, the fact that you can get home safely in the evening is a blessing in itself. I have always been on alert. I don't ever walk out of my house carefree or easy. I can be happy and be joyful. You know, I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to have love in my heart and to be surrounded by it. But I always have to walk out of my house with that awareness that there is someone who looks at my existence as a threat and wants it to be diminished. And so, especially during this time, you know, I went to the Brooklyn rally and there were over 15,000 people. And
Yeah.
my near and dear friends, Raquel Willis, who you spoke with, she gave an amazing speech about Black trans power. And seeing a large group, and this wasn't just in New York, this was, you know, across the entire country,
Right.
fighting for Black trans lives, I was overwhelmed. I didn't think, you know, we're put into a society that is almost built not for us to live in. You know, you have people who tell us what we're doing is wrong. We're going against, you know, the Bible. You have so many different angles coming at us. And to see how our stories are now coming to the forefront, stories that you haven't heard about are now being presented and people are waking up and saying, the shit isn't right,
Right.
is an amazing thing. And it gives me hope, you know. I through my whole Instagram feed, but there was one day I said rage, and I was talking to Dominique Fells and Ryan Milton, and how in just 1 week, two trans women are just gone. They're murdered. And we don't hear anything about it. We don't bring it to the forefront. Ryan Milton was dead named by the news, which
What is
is
that?
so
Yeah.
dead is when a person who is trans, the news or media will report and use their birth name. So, for example, if I was murdered and I hadn't had my name legally changed to Giselle, but though my friends and loved ones know me as Giselle, the media could say, so Christopher was murdered on the streets of New York, found at West 46th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.
Okay, I see.
And it's a huge disrespect.
Yeah.
It's a huge disrespect. And so many media outlets seem to just glaze over it and say, oh, we're sorry. But no,
No.
connected with people who knew these individuals. Respect that. And right now, what we're doing is we're fighting for our respect, and we're taking that fight and pushing it forward, and we're not backing down about it. I think for so long, trans people, especially Black trans people, have been put at the bottom of the social hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's it's devastating to watch because it's almost as if our lives just did not matter. I was talking to my coworker. I said, "You know what's so funny?" And I said, "I'm not trying to be rude, but I said we've seen so many documentaries, news segments on Jonathan and Ramsey, right? We keep seeing it play over here and there." I said, "But all of these trans people have been murdered. So many of these cases have gone unsolved, and we just hear nothing. It's dead. These stories aren't shared. We're not
Yeah.
giving the justice they deserve."
No, and I don't think people, because the stories aren't being shared, so people don't know how bad it is. Like, people
Yeah.
really do not understand that this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if maybe you don't know, that this has been declared an epidemic.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I believe, I mean, I have to fact check myself, I'm not 100% sure, but that um, the murder of Black trans women, it has become an epidemic in our country because of how bad it is.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, and you just don't, I wouldn't, I was shocked. My mom was shocked when we found out. It was like, how could we not know? How could we not have been educated or been told that this is happening? And it's like, well, it's because they're not telling us for a reason.
Yeah, because they don't want you to care. They don't see us as people worth mentioning. And that's why, the great thing about the great thing about this current movement is we're now bringing these stories forward.
Yeah.
And we're educating people. And the thing is, trans people have been around for as long, you know what I mean? We've been here. We've always been here. We're not going anywhere.
Right.
But what this movement has done, especially, is let the rest of the world know that. We're now in Pride Month, right? So
Yeah.
happy Pride,
Happy
okay?
Pride.
Yeah, but are we not going to talk about how Pride was started by Black and brown queer people? Everyone, we see so many major brands ready to throw up their rainbow flags and be like, Happy Pride, we love everybody, but you're not actually getting to the root of it. You're not getting to the heart of what it is.
Yeah.
And right now, we're in our 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And there are so many people who are just now recognizing that because of Black and brown queer people, these celebrations are existing. And there are some people who weren't very active in the Black Lives Matter movement. But I had to say that, and I was saying this to a group of friends right now, I said, this community that you are loving like you're getting ready for Pride and all of that, I said, do you realize that the people who fought for this, who started this fight, are the ones who are under attack right now? I said, have you sat and thought about this for a moment? These are the people.
Yeah.
And it would get dead quiet. And I would say, now you know, do your research. And
Yeah.
it's very hard. I can't say it's an easy, breezy life. Every day has its new challenges. But I make it sound like it's just so daunting. But on the plus side, you're living your truth, right? That's one of
Yeah.
the
Right.
hard any of us can do.
Right. And it's such a brave thing to do.
Thank you. I mean, it is. We
It is.
all,
Yeah.
you know.
But I think it's, go ahead. You disconnected for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying, trans, cisgender, it doesn't matter. When you step into your truth, the world sees that, right? And that is for me, that is the most beautiful gift you can give yourself, is to
Yeah.
walk. and to let.
I mean, I think there's nothing more beautiful than someone who is, is themselves, even when the world tells them that, no, don't do that. Like that's not right.
Yeah,
That you should. And I'm, there's so many people who are awful, tried to stop people from becoming who they are. People who are homophobic, people who are transphobic. Like there's just so many people telling you not to be who you are. And I truly do think it is the the just courage to its core. I'm not very eloquent today with my words, but like it really
girl,
is to
you
live
really
in your truth, who you are. I think that's just the most admirable thing in the world. I really do. I mean, how do you think when you were finally living your truth as a woman, how did your perception of the world shift around you? Because I'm sure the world was looking at you differently.
you know, it was so much clearer.
Really?
My view of the world became so much more clear. I wasn't hiding a part of myself anymore.
Yeah.
So it was the mask was taken off. I didn't have to conceal my true feelings and my true identity. But also at the same time, the world became fearful because before coming out as trans, I was living my what I considered my truth, right, as a black gay man.
Mm-hmm.
So there was still privilege in that arena, which I think some people tend to forget about. Just being a black man can give you a bit more privilege than being a black woman or a black trans woman. It
Mm-hmm.
actually absolutely does. I'm sure there are people who may disagree, but there is a privilege
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
being a black man.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt more protected in that arena. So once I stepped into my truth and started realizing who I was and where I was, that's when a lot of my awareness that I'm now considered a target to some people. I'm now someone that folks will try to silence and try to discriminate against, and sadly sometimes get away with it. Um, it job security became a big focus on my mind because for me as a man, as a male actor, when I was in school and college studying acting, I didn't have trans actors to look up to.
Yeah.
So we have, India Moore or MJ Rodriguez to like, we can see them on TV and be like, okay, there's someone out there that looks like me. There was no representation of me.
Yeah.
So that's why deflecting and becoming, just trying to live out life as a gay man was a safe choice. I can still get employed. I can still be afforded certain human rights.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the moment I stepped into my truth, I realized how much even harder people would go against that. And
Yeah.
people use my truth as something to discriminate against me for. And like I said, luckily I had a very loving work family who said, we want to go with you on this journey. We are supportive of you. Whatever you need to do to take these steps, we are supporting it.
That's beautiful.
I feel very lucky. But not many trans people, especially black trans people, are afforded that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair. They are just as capable, if I'll be straight up real, sometimes more capable than people in certain positions
Yeah.
of higher power.
Sure.
But because of how they've journeyed through life, stepping into their truth, they have to be punished for it. And that's just not right.
That's, I think that's the most awful thing in the world. And my, my heart really does break when I think about just how it angry I'm sure you feel, and because even I feel so angry when I just like I don't I guess I can't really wrap my head, like I can't see it from the people's point of view who are murdering these transgender women and men. I can't possibly understand not seeing someone as a human being and seeing them as a
Right.
threat or something. You know, it's like you don't you're not hateful towards someone unless they're a threat to you.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know, if someone is out here living their truth happily, if you have to actively hate that person or go out of your way to like torment that person, that just says so much about who you are. And I think, I mean, I just hope and pray that, I mean, you're always going to have transphobic people and you're always going to have shitty fucking people in this world.
We
But
need to.
the hope is that our government, or there's some kind of system in place where this is not just an acceptable behavior where it's like, there's nothing we can do about it, you know?
That's what we're fighting for. That's
Right,
what we're movement right now is, and it's not going to stop. That's what we're fighting for right now.
right.
These people who have, homophobia, transphobia. My mom and I had a really big conversation about it when I made the decision to transition, and she said there are several things that I want for you. I want you to be smart, stay smart. I want you to be safe, and I want you to acknowledge that not everyone is going to treat you with respect and kindness. And that is because they're fighting their own inner demons. And you can't let that inner demon affect who you are. And I've carried that with me.
Yeah.
So, those people who have these harsh oppositions and harsh reactions to people like me, I just say, you're having your own battle that I can't solve. Only you can solve that for yourself. And you think that hurting me is going to fix it for you, and it won't. And what we're doing right now in this movement is we're trying to make everyone aware that if you're out there with some sort of issues, we we as trans people, Black queer people in general, because a lot of our voices have been closed off in this current movement, we are the ones behind so much that you cling to. We're behind so much of your fashion. We're behind so much of sometimes the food that you eat, the makeup that you like purchase. Think about who we are in the world and our contributions. And what we have to do now is say, look at these contributions, but also look at the people behind them. Think about these people. You know them, you cling to them, you want to see more from them. Let's fight for them to have the same equality that everyone else has. Let's stop letting their bodies be found and we just say how sad that was.
Right, right.
I it makes me so upset every time we hear about a murder. We see it through Black's Instagram and they're like, this happened. Did you know this happened?
Right.
And I see it through the people that I follow. Raquel Willis, India Moore, Hope Disguised. Um, and I'm just like, everyone needs to pay attention to that these people who you sometimes cling to for, for entertainment and for your social purposes, they're the ones under attack. And they don't have the same rights as you. We can all walk in the room together. You and I are both going to be treated completely differently. Even if you weren't who you are, and even if I weren't who I am,
Sure.
completely different experiences through life. And we've got to stop that. We
Well,
have to.
I mean, thank you so much for like, and we were messaging for a bit before, but I think it's such a vulnerable thing to even, I mean, to live your truth, and you're facing so much every single day just for existing is
Yeah.
is exhausting, and I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. But the fact that you're doing it is so beautiful and inspirational. I really just, I mean, I think
Thank you.
live your truth, and you so deserve to, and everyone deserves to live their truth. And the fact that some people just can't is devastating. So I want to do my part to help raise awareness of the epidemic, of the situation that's happening with Black transgender women, and I think there's
Mentioned.
still there's still a lot of work to be done, and a lot of people pay attention. And I think just having you on here, I'm so grateful for your vulnerability and your time, and willing to share and be open. I really do appreciate it.
No, of course. Thank you for reaching out. When Kaylee said you had like read the blog, I was like, oh my gosh, you read it? I'm like, okay.
Of course.
So it
But
was.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, for me, it was just a way to get out all of these thoughts,
Yeah.
uh, because not many people know what it's like to go in a day to day. And for me, my motivation for transitioning, there was a transgender woman. She was a teenager named Lili Alcorn who had committed suicide. And once again, the media dead named her. Even her parents were saying our son is gone, and it's so upsetting. And I just wanted to shake them and say, this is why. This is why. And I said to myself then, I said, if I can just be an example for someone out there to know that it's okay, to be able to step forward and say, this is who I am, hate it or love it,
Right.
and just be able to walk tall from it, then I've done what I meant to do here, you know.
Well,
And coming
that's
from a Southern Black family, that's not always easy,
right.
but I'm very blessed with the one I was given. And the one,
Very brave.
thank you. Thank you.
I do really appreciate you coming on here, and I think hearing you speak is very. You have a very beautiful voice. You're very easy to listen to.
Oh,
Uh, but again, keep writing, because I mean, you don't need me to tell you that, but it's so necessary for your story and your world to be talked about. People need to talk about it, and just keep talking about your story and your experiences, because that's how we'll learn. And I would love to, I'd love to keep reading what you write, and sharing it, and spreading these messages.
please do. And just, keep doing the work that you are. Not many people have wanted to use their platform. It's almost as if this movement doesn't exist to them. They're, they just kind of were, it's too much for me. That's part of the problem. And you're starting the work of showing the world what's really happening, and showing the people that follow you, using your platform and your privilege
Yeah.
to lift this community and say, hey, you guys, we all need to be aware of what's happening outside of our front doors.
I mean, it's literally the least I can do. To me, in my heart and soul, I'm like, okay, this is the least I can be doing right now, so I need to do it. But please, after we're done, DM me some names of people I can reach out to, more people that you think I should talk to. I would love suggestions. Um, yeah, I'd really appreciate it. But thank you so much again for coming on here. Um, I really enjoyed hearing you speak, and I'm sure many others did. And this will be on my Instagram TV for people to watch later, because not a lot of people watch it live. But thank you again.
Be
Have
safe,
a
stay.
week. Yeah, have a safe week. Okay. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.